So, in honor of the fact that support mains will be starved of a new support hero until literally April this year, I decided to give it a try at creating two new supports, one a returning favourite, and another completely new. Please welcome Torbjorn and Symmetra to the support role. Now, this will absolutely seem a bit odd, more so Torbjorn than Symmetra, considering Symmetra originally was classed as a support hero, but hear me out first. Of all the damage heroes, Torbjorn and Symmetra feel the weirdest. What I mean by that is that they feel the least suited of the entire damage roster to getting picks, and instead function better in area denial, which is obviously the point of them. What I propose is to fully lean into that. Support heroes are sorely limited in Overwatch 2, and I feel like it would be interesting to see the term support mean more than just healing and utility. So, in this video, I'm going to completely redesign Torbjorn and Symmetra's kit to better suit a supporting role, while also hopefully balancing niche uses and counterplay for the both of them. Before I begin though, what the fuck guys? In literally a week, I have gone from 17 subscribers to in the YouTube partner program. I gotta say, I really appreciate the support. The pure amount of mold that must have accumulated on your brains from watching my videos is an incredible sacrifice, so I really do appreciate it. What this means now though, is that I get to pressure you to watch the ads. You know that ad you skipped to watch this video? Yeah, I know you know. Refresh the page, until it comes back, as many times as it takes. Then watch it, 30 seconds at least. I'll know if you don't. How will I know? Because I'm already watching you. Now, starting off with Symmetra. Symmetra has always been a very weird hero in Overwatch. She's been buffed, nerfed, and changed more than any other hero, yet no matter what, is always extremely boring. It's really weird as well. Symmetra is, by all rights, quite good. Maybe not in the current meta, but she can reach an insane level of DPS. With a coordinated team, she can deny a ton of ultimates, and provide heaps of mobility with a teleporter. Yet, despite all of this, her main utility is area denial, with a mixture of her turrets, her gun, and a properly placed ultimate. The ideal Symmetra is played smartly and defensively, so my idea is to fully embrace that aspect of her, while also hopefully creating a viable support. My goal with Symmetra is to make a support that follows the same design principles as the other supports, that being that each support has their own utility. The support version of Symmetra will ideally have decent damage output alongside the various utilities she brings with her abilities, with less of an emphasis on straight healing. I'm going for something similar to Ana, who has decent healing potential, but her main value comes from mixing in her abilities in smart ways with general healing support. To start things off, let's look at her main weapon, the big laser. It can reach extremely high damage levels, is excellent at burning through barriers, and overall is pretty good. To bring it to a balance level around Sim's migration to support, I would change quite a few things about this beam. Currently, Sim's beam can reach 3 different levels of DPS. To bring this in line, I would change it so that the maximum it can hit is level 2, which also has its damage reduced from 120 per second down to 100 per second. To raise the beam to level 2, it would also take an extra second, up to 2 seconds. To compensate, and to make Sim more effective at sustained fire, her ammo is increased to 150, and the time for the beam to level down when not hitting anything is increased to 4 seconds. What this does is lessen Sim's damage output while making her more effective at burning through a pocketed hero by reducing the amount of times she has to reload. While these numbers may seem high, this is Symmetra's only source of damage. And as I said before, Symmetra as a support should ideally be a mix between utility and damage, with less of a focus on healing. Symmetra also has 0 mobility, as you'll soon see, and as such, I don't think this version of her beam is unrealistic for a support. Now, onto her first completely new ability, her alternate fire. This is where the traditional support part of her reworked kit comes into play. The orb thingy is removed, replaced by a lock-on beam similar to Mercy's, but with the flexibility in attaching closer to Moira's grasp. This beam locks onto single target heroes, healing for 30 health and 30 shields per second. The shields can be built up to a maximum of 100 on any hero, and decay after 5 seconds. If the thought of this being used on a Tracer or Genji already freaks you out, then let me explain the next part of this ability. The beam is always able to heal, but the shields come from a resource meter, similar to Moira's. When this beam is depleted, Sim is only able to heal for 30 per second, and nothing else. After 1 second of not using the beam, the shields regenerate at 45 per second. What this provides Symmetra with is her own powerful niche that, similar to her abilities as a damage hero, needs to be coordinated with to achieve its full potential. Symmetra can make flankers beefier, or give an Orisa an even bigger health pool, with the drawback of not being able to out-heal dive heroes like Winston and Tracer. This means that Symmetra would ideally fit into a close-knit style of comp, likely paired with a group healer like Baptiste to compensate for her lack of healing output. I definitely do not want Symmetra to be the second coming of Release Brigitte, and I feel like providing overhealth alongside limited healing is a powerful but balanced niche, as Symmetra can absolutely be dived and removed from a teamfight. Now for her next change, and a big part of her utility. Her teleporter cooldown is increased dramatically, up to 28, but the distance is increased to 45 meters, the health and shields are increased up to 100 and 200 respectively, and the duration is infinite. What this gives Symmetra is, alongside her shields, a powerful utility for the team. This can help her team get back faster into a team fight, similar to how Lucio can taxi, and provide an extremely effective tool for flankers to get around a blockade. Again, if the thought of an extended, infinite teleporter is scaring you, have no fear. This ability is automatically on cooldown at the start of the game, so no instant covering of the point. If this ability is destroyed, it also has an extremely high cooldown, meaning it is much more of a high priority target than before. The reason for this change is to dissuade selfish use of the teleporter, and instead coordinate with the team in what ways to use it, which can be as simple as typing where you'll TP to and when. Again, Symmetra has 0 mobility, so regardless of her new powerful abilities, she can still be countered by a dive composition. For the next change, this one is a bit smaller. Her turrets gain a health increase, up to 40. This is mainly to increase their longevity, as with the large cut into Symmetra's damage, her main area denial capability will come from her turrets. To put this into perspective, each turret slows their target, and now with a higher health pool alongside Sim's damage overhaul, she can place turrets in riskier areas with a higher chance her teammates will be able to make use of the slow. Now, onto her ultimate ability. The massive shield stays, but with a few changes. The ultimate gives Symmetra unlimited shield resources, and her beam can attach up to 3 allies, similar to how Mercy's ult can. The unlimited resources last up to 6 seconds, with some small VFX to indicate its ending, and the wall lasts a bit longer than before, at 15 seconds. Let me break this down. Symmetra's ultimate is undeniably useful, but also kinda lame. Blocking off an ultimate or giving your healers time to heal is definitely useful, but support ultimates should be more useful than that. What this new ultimate does is provide Symmetra with the ability to effectively reset a team fight. She can shield off the enemy team, and then while they regroup, can provide her allies with shields for a large duration. This would make her ultimate extremely powerful as a support tool, and to compensate would be 700 points more expensive, in line with the other supports. With this rework, Symmetra finds her place among the other supports with a focus on utility over healing. She can provide powerful overhealth to her allies for a decent duration, doesn't require as much precision to heal, can move her allies quickly across the map, and has an ultimate focused on resetting, which was the original purpose of her damage ultimate, but now with a more support-based flavor. These changes are absolutely powerful. I very much know the implications of putting overhealth, even decaying overhealth, onto a flanker, but I believe this is still perfectly balanced with Sim's absolute lack of mobility. Her teleporter is all but guaranteed to be in use somewhere else, and she has 0 escape tools, besides her high, for a support, damage output. Dissect this as you will. I'm sure there's something I haven't thought of, but I feel the power of this reworked Symmetra almost perfectly balances out. Now for the newest arrival to the support class, Mr. Armour Pack himself. Similar to Symmetra, Torbjorn fills a weird niche in the damage class. He's a tanky, area denial based hero, and he provides utility to the team through clever lockdowns by his turret, perking potential, and his ultimate. My idea is to fully lean into that idea. Torbjorn was a lot more creative of a hero in the past, with his armor packs and old ultimate, and I want to bring some of that creativeness back as his main utility as a support hero. My goal for Torbjorn is to reduce his personal damage and scale his power according to clever turret usage and, similar to Symmetra, team communication and preemptiveness. Let's get into it. For Torbjorn's first change, his primary fire is now his current alternate fire shotgun, with a few changes. The damage possible is now reduced to 100, and to compensate, the spread is decreased by 30%. With the rework, this is now Torbjorn's main personal damage source, and as such, I wanted to strike a middle ground between his original primary and alternate fire, making him a decently effective close-range guardian of his turrets and his team, and also not completely useless at range. This new primary fire forces Torbjorn to be more clever in his turret placements, and to play closer to his team than before, which is natural considering he's now a support. Now, similar to Symmetra, Torbjorn's alternate fire is his main supportive ability. Replacing his shotgun, Torbjorn now fires out armor canisters. These give 50 healing and 30 armor on a direct hit, and similar to Baptiste, give half that in a small area if they hit an object. Again, armor and overhealth are very scary words to the Overwatch competitive scene, but this works a little differently. Torbjorn's armor canisters have a cap, depending on the class it is fired at. Tanks can receive a maximum of 90 armor, while supports and DPS can receive up to 30. As well as this, the armor canisters function similarly to Doomfist's crappy shotgun, in which the canisters reload automatically at a rate of 1 per 3/4 of a second. To put this into perspective, this ability gives Torbjorn healing utility, as well as the ability to beef up his tank considerably, and make squishies less squishy. With the slow fire rate, slow reload rate, and very diminishing returns if there isn't a direct hit, this ability is designed to provide centralized support to 1 or 2 characters, as well as preemptive support when resetting. This wouldn't be anywhere near as oppressive as Brigida's original armor pack, as the main focus of this is to keep the tank alive, which ties into Torbjorn's other abilities. Onto Torb's turrets. Similar to Symmetra, with the migration to the support role, Torbjorn loses damage potential in favour of support potential, and as such, turrets became the centerpiece of his entire kit, rather than something that's just there to be really annoying in the corner. As such, when Torbjorn hammers a turret at full health, he grants it 15 armor per hit, with a maximum of 45. Now that Torbjorn can't attack at range anywhere near as well, this change, alongside his secondary fire, changes Torbjorn into more of an aggressive defender, where his shotgun can guard at close range, and it can make his turrets more tanky for lengthier or long-range fights. This wouldn't be overly oppressive, as this change more so just allows Torbjorn's turrets to stay alive just a little longer, especially considering he can no longer support them at range. Now, onto Overload. Overload still grants movement speed and extra armor for Torb, but instead of attack speed, it now triples the reload speed of his armor canisters for the duration. What this means is that Overload shifts from an aggressive tool into a powerful defensive tool. Overload now gives Torbjorn the ability to quickly apply armor to his entire team, and grants much greater healing output, while also making himself decently tanky. To compensate for this, however, the cooldown is raised massively, up to 25 seconds. This ability now functions as a powerful reset tool, particularly when the tank is being burst down by the enemy team. Overload can allow Torb to boost his entire team in tankiness, and can be used to deny enemy ultimates, or just last a little longer in a team fight. While this is a powerful ability, Torbjorn still has many of the same counters as Symmetra, in that he has little to no mobility, and with the added rework, can no longer fight at range, or use overload to escape a bad fight. My design principle with both Symmetra and Torbjorn is to create a rework that is balanced around powerful abilities with viable counters, which I honestly feel in practice both would have. The armour would primarily affect the tank, meaning squishies can still be burst down by long-range characters like Widow and Ashe, which reworked Torbjorn, despite his strengths, has zero counter to. Finally, Torbjorn's ultimate has been completely reworked. It still effectively provides area denial, but in a much more fun way in my opinion. Torbjorn's ultimate now instantly refreshes the turret cooldown, reduces the turret cooldown to 6 seconds, and grants an additional charge for the duration, allowing Torbjorn to place 2 turrets down at a time. Turrets created during the ultimate also gain 50 armour upon creation that decays 1 second after building, making it easier to deploy mid-combat. If Torbjorn hammers them 5 times within the ultimate, however, the turrets also gain armour-piercing rounds, dealing double damage against armour. This ultimate also grants Torbjorn a 15% movement bonus for its duration, and lasts for 15 seconds. As a final note, the second turret, if still alive at the end of the duration, stays until destroyed. To put this into perspective, this ultimate allows Torbjorn to lock down an area extremely effectively, but allowing much more player input than just spraying goop everywhere. It can be used mid-fight, thanks to the armour granted to the turrets, or set up preemptively, giving Torbjorn the time to create both turrets in ideal locations, upgrade both to armour piercing, as well as armour up his entire team with the movement speed. Combining this with Torbjorn's other abilities, the Bloons Tower Defense cosplay is complete. Torbjorn becomes an extremely powerful defender, with a much higher focus on defensive utility than healing output. He can set up his turrets, upgrade them with armour, defend with his shotgun if needed, and provide armour to the strongest area denial character on the team, the tank. While these are all definitely powerful abilities, they come at the cost of much lower healing output than other supports, similar to how reworked Symmetra would function. The goal behind this rework is to create a viable alternative to the current rush meta, with ideally an Orisa, 2 DPS with either self-sustain or mobility to reach packs, a main group healer, and Torbjorn himself as the team comp. Similar to Symmetra as well, Torbjorn suffers the same counterplay as her, for good reason. Reworked Torbjorn can be dived easily, can be picked off unchallenged at range, and in an uncommunicated teamfight, Torbjorn's lack of mobility will be an easy pick. Along with Symmetra, I feel like this reworked version of Torbjorn provides a powerful niche to the team, with valid counterplay to ensure that the match doesn't stagnate. Now, if these 2 reworks were ever actually implemented, I'm sure they would be nerfed heavily before allowed into play. The reason I made both so powerful is because Overwatch has a consistent history of stale meta after stale meta. These 2 reworks, I feel, would provide a viable alternative to the Lucio and Kiriko rush, which in turn could be countered by dive. Can you see what I'm getting at? Overwatch can get extremely stale when the same meta is just played over and over and over again. Blizzard are notorious for taking their sweet fucking time with patches for evil strats. So to fix that, give 2 or 3 perfectly viable alternative strategies, so that players aren't stuck waiting for the ride or die meta to finally change. I'm absolutely not a top 500 player, but you don't need to be to recognize the faults in the system Blizzard employs with Overwatch's balance. And honestly, I feel like providing ideas like these reworks, no matter how ridiculously overtuned, are a much more constructive way of providing feedback than just complaining online. Hey, so if you watched the whole video, I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this type of essay-style, high-effort content, then give these ones a try. Also, please tell me in the comments what the name of Torbjorn's reworked ultimate should be. If I can't think of one, I'll have to just literally call it Turret. Anyways, if you have any ideas for how some of the other supports could be changed or improved, let me know in the comments. I have a video coming out soon updating my original reworks pretty massively. Until then, thanks for watching. I am deeply attracted to you.